Will Trump's hush money case be delayed? The mysterious death of a Boeing whistleblower? And why is the media downplaying Laken Riley's murder? Then more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. The Academy Awards took place last weekend and had some memorable, entertaining moments. Thank goodness. The Oscars are a celebration of movies, which are more important now than ever, as they're the last safe refuge on Earth from the omnipresent dread that is the 2024 election. At least until host Jimmy Kimmel went off script and read a Truth Social post from Donald Trump criticizing his performance during the performance.
Has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? His opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be.
Are we sure Trump posted that and not Kimmel's disgruntled ex-psychologist? I never thought I'd say this, but I'm thankful for YouTube comments. Usually they just say you suck or cringe, but they never try to deconstruct me on an emotional level. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that politics found their way into a celebration of entertainment, because that's all politics has become, 24/7 tribalistic entertainment. Meanwhile, entertainment seems to get more and more political. But really, I think the Academy should start giving awards to the mainstream media, since they're the undisputed champs of providing scripted narratives. Speaking of Trump, the first of Trump's criminal trials is set to begin later this month, with the jury selection beginning on March 25th in the so-called alleged hush money case. However, Trump wants to delay this trial until the Supreme Court makes a decision on presidential immunity. So Trump wants to wait for another of his cases to conclude before this case can begin. Trump's legal problems are like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons' immune system. There are so many issues happening all at once that they're bumping into each other and none can get through. Wait, is that the type of immunity he's talking about? This strategy might be working because the judge in Trump's Georgia 2020 election interference case dismissed 6 of the charges against Trump and his associates due to prosecutors not providing enough details about these alleged crimes. The hush money case, as it's often called, centers around allegations that Trump falsified internal records in his company for money given to his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, who used the funds to try and suppress negative stories about Trump during his 2016 campaign, specifically by paying off porn star Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about allegedly engaging in an extramarital affair with Trump in 2006. I have to stress, these are allegations as of now. But if they're true, and Trump really did use company money to get his lawyer to suppress negative stories about him in 2016, then Cohen did an abysmal job. Do you remember the 2016 election? And I'm being serious when I ask that because many of us subconsciously blocked it out of our memories, like a traumatic childhood event our brains still don't know how to process. When I think of 2016, all I see is... But for those of you who do remember, Trump had worse press in 2016 than stepping on a Lego in a wet sock while drinking orange juice after you brush your teeth. If anything, I'm surprised this case isn't Trump suing Cohen for misappropriate use of misappropriated funds. Again, allegedly. Now you might be wondering, why is Trump trying to argue presidential immunity in a case against him over alleged actions taken before he was president? Well, Trump's lawyers say it's because prosecutors from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office intend to use tweets he made while as president as evidence in the trial, and those should be excluded. They argue that while it's clear that the people intend to offer documents and testimony related to the period in 2017 when President Trump was in office, they have not provided sufficiently specific notice of the nature and extent of that evidence to allow President Trump or the court to distinguish between personal and official acts. The Supreme Court will hear arguments over presidential immunity starting April 25th and might not reach a decision until July. So yeah, all these issues are a bit of a convoluted mess. You know, this wouldn't have happened if America just did what I've been saying they should do for years and make me Supreme Leader of these United States for life. Nothing I do would be against the law because I would be the law. Or at the very least, the U.S. could go with a president that won't be so divisive, like America Uncovered's officially endorsed presidential candidate, Chris Christie. I can't wait until he wins in November. Don't listen to the people who point out he's already dropped out of the race, or arguably his bigger handicap, being from New Jersey. You can't lose. The House of Representatives passed a bill with wide bipartisan support that would force TikTok's Chinese owner, ByteDance, to divest from the company or face the app being made unavailable in the US. That is a whole episode in and of itself. So check out the episode I did about that on China Uncensored. The link is in the description below. And after the break, bubonic plague is back. Welcome back. A New Mexico man died from the bubonic plague. He's the first American to die from this disease since 2020. Oh man, I knew times were tough, but I didn't think they were medieval tough. On the bright side, I can start wearing that cool plague mask and make some extra money by wheeling a cart around town while shouting, "Bring out your dead!" Fortunately, bubonic plague isn't likely to spread and wipe out a giant portion of the population like it once did in Europe. The CDC estimates plague infects fewer than 10 Americans a year, usually through bites from fleas or rodents. But advances in antibiotics and hygiene make it a lot less of a concern. Well, less of a concern where people practice hygiene. Frankly, with all the unwashed hippies they have, I'm shocked Portland hasn't experienced a major plague outbreak. Whenever you see a white person with dreads, be safe and grab your plague mask. Speaking of things that have been around since the Middle Ages, Joe Biden. President Biden released a $7.3 trillion federal budget proposal. This is a 4.7 increase over the current budget. But it says it will reduce the national deficit by $3 trillion over the next decade by increasing taxes on billionaires and corporations. House GOP leaders think this is another example of reckless spending by the president and that he's attempting to shoehorn in a left-wing agenda. In a joint statement, they say, "The price tag of President Biden's proposed budget is yet another glaring reminder of this administration's insatiable appetite for reckless spending and the Democrats' disregard for fiscal responsibility." So will Biden's plan of spending more while also taxing the rich reduce the deficit? Who knows, maybe. After all, they say you have to spend money to make money, and then take money because you owe so much money and hope it somehow balances out the money a little. I know that saying is longer than you realized. But given Biden's track record so far on spending, is it just me or does this kind of feel like watching your grandpa blow through all of what's supposed to be your inheritance? I'm glad you're enjoying your golden years, Pop, but maybe leave some for the grandkids, especially since those are their tax dollars you're spending. The NAACP asked black student athletes to reconsider attending and playing for Florida colleges due to a law that banned state funds from being used on diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI programs. The University of Florida and other schools have recently eliminated all DEI programs and jobs to comply with this law. And I have to say, I agree with the NAACP's decision. Why, without DEI, discrimination could run rampant on campuses. I mean, it's not like we've ever seen real, recent examples of DEI leading to more discrimination on campuses that I covered in depth on this episode linked below. Why, that'd be crazy. So absolutely, avoid Florida. Of course, in general, that's good advice for everyone. Boeing failed 33 out of 89 audits conducted by the Federal Aviation Administration after a panel blew off an Alaskan Airlines jet mid-flight back in January. Adding to the company's bad PR is this story of a former Boeing safety inspector, John Barnett, who was found dead from what authorities say looked like a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Barnett worked for Boeing for 30 years before retiring and filing a whistleblower report over safety concerns in 2017. Barnett was suing Boeing for allegedly denigrating his character, hindering his career, and ignoring his concerns over issues with the aircraft. His trial was set to begin in June, so many who've seen this story think of it as another Epstein scenario where Barnett may have been murdered by a powerful entity and it was made to look like a suicide. Of course, that didn't happen with Epstein. In fact, a close family friend of John Barnett said he predicted he might wind up dead.
He wasn't concerned about safety because I asked him, I said, "Aren't you scared?" And he said, and his voice and the way he would talk, "No, I ain't scared." He said, "But if anything happens to me, it's not suicide."
Wow, that's very interesting. But Barnett's family say he suffered from PTSD and anxiety attacks from his time working for Boeing, and think their hostile work environment led to his death. So they don't think there was foul play. Incidentally, here's a picture of his family. And after the break, Laken Riley's murder. Welcome back. Laken Riley, a 22-year-old nursing student at Augusta University, was abducted and murdered by an illegal immigrant while jogging on the University of Georgia campus. With Riley's murderer being an illegal immigrant, many are blaming Biden and his failed border policies directly for her death. Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman from Georgia, heckled Biden during the State of the Union speech over the lack of attention Riley's death has received.
Laken Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand.
Well, that seems like a perfectly reasonable response, doesn't it? Not according to some progressives who are upset at Biden for using the term illegal. Because that's what the biggest issue is here. This is like calling Jeffrey Dahmer a cannibal and someone going, hey, that's offensive. He's an alternative protein connoisseur. Biden expressed regret at his choice of words, saying, I shouldn't have used illegal, it's undocumented. While campaigning in Rome, Georgia, Donald Trump mocked Biden for this, saying, Joe Biden went on television and apologized for calling Laken's murderer an illegal. Biden should be apologizing for apologizing to this killer. Of course, this angered some Democrats. So I guess they think Trump should apologize for saying Biden should apologize for apologizing to this killer. Oh, I'm sorry. Killer isn't PC anymore. This intentional life taker. I apologize. But White House Deputy Spokesperson Olivia Dalton pushed back on the idea of it being an apology, saying he did not apologize. He used a different word. I think what we should be really clear about is the facts. So the facts are that he has regret, but isn't sorry. So, kind of like when I eat an entire pizza by myself. I regret it, but I ain't sorry. The creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, recently passed away. His creations definitely had an impact on many Americans, myself included. So check out this video I made as a tribute to him on my new show, Deep Thoughts While Gaming. It's a little emotional. Let me know what you think. And America Uncovered wouldn't exist without your support. Click that orange button to support us on Patreon. All it takes is $1 an episode, and you can set a monthly limit. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.